Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of witchbooktube. And today we're going to be talking about a small book called Evoking Hecate by Anousen Leonte. I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing this right, and I actually think that it is, you can see me there, French maybe? I looked high and low for this guy's bio or this woman's bio. I actually have no idea who they are or what their pronouns are. But I looked on Goodreads, I looked on Amazon, I did a search for bios for this person. Couldn't find it, but they do have quite a few books, which is interesting. There isn't a bio in the book itself. It's a short book, but I picked it up along with quite a few other books that I'm not going to be talking about for a few months, but it's definitely an indicator of a direction that we're going to be going in towards the end of this year, if not the beginning of 2020, because we're going to go deep into Hecate at some point soon. This book I really loved as kind of like a taster. Because I don't have a bio for this author, I'm just going to read you other works by the author so that you have an idea of what we're working with. Other books are Gnostic Magic, Sigil Meditation, Olymp Magic, Evocation through Sigil Magic, Scrying Without Tears, Chaos Magic, Its Salient Features, and then this one, which is Evoking Hecate, the Goddess of Magic. We've talked before about deities or goddesses in, I think it's the 13 or the 12 Faces of the Goddess. It was an astrology book and an astrology book through the lens of archetypes. And I think that Danielle Blackwood was the author. I hope that I'm not getting her last name wrong. We can link to that up here. But that's really the only time that we've actually discussed it. And it's the only time that I've actually gone into anything like that with the Witches Box, partly because I want to be sensitive to the fact that we come from all sorts of different traditions. We all may or may not actually work with deities in our personal witchcraft, which is fine. There is many different avenues with which to enter this path and to walk this path. However, there is something really profound and powerful to be experienced when working with different energetics or different archetypes or different deities. Hecate tends to be known as the witch's goddess for many, many, many reasons. And I'm not going to go into having a whole discussion about her and what her attributes are and why, but this book covers it in a really concise manner that leaves you walking away knowing and having a good taste for her. And I loved it that way because if you want to start working with deities or that type of energy, a small book that's easy to get through but has a lot of information can really give you a good taste, a good starter taste for where you might want to go with this exploration. So I just want to read a couple of quotes from the book just to kind of give you a taste of the book. In ancient Greek paganism, Hecate is a goddess of magic. Her name means worker from afar, which is itself an interesting definition of what a magician is. She has many aspects and qualities, as we will see, but her main role is that of the goddess of sorceries and enchantment. Though all Greek goddesses and gods have magical connotations, Hecate is specifically magical and represents a patron goddess of magic itself. It's a big bird. We are still in the tropics, so if you hear wild birds, that's why. So that's a quote that gives you an idea of the scope of the book. Here's another quote. Whereas many spirits are high, and this person will use spirits or deities and goddesses, that word interchangeably. Whereas many spirits are highly specialized and specific to certain areas, Hecate's influence is vast. She is magic in the form of the goddess, and there is no magic which does not imply or relate to her. To restrict her to only certain domains is to miss the point. She is quintessentially magical, and everything involved in magic, whether it be enchantments, invocations, divinations, etc., all of it is her domain. If you wanted to work with deities, this is a really lovely entryway into that exploration. And then the book goes on to talk about different ways to interact with her, different ways to get to know her, history, origin, the different aspects of her. She has many different aspects, and also interestingly talks about, for the most part, from her origin that we can find in history, she was typically a maiden goddess. She was not the triple goddess that we know of her now until much, much later, which is an interesting distinction. They also talk about what the implications of that could be, or what the significance and what the effect on your relationship with her could be because of that. And then, because this is the point of the point of the book is how to evoke her. And it talks about 3 different ways to do that, and what to do when you do evoke her, and what types of relationships you can develop through the evocation. Beautiful. really helpful. Working with sigils to evoke her, working with incantations to evoke her, working with meditation to evoke her. It also speaks to the different planetary representations of Hecate and what days of the week those correspond with, and what different aspects of her that corresponds with, and what you can do in terms of ritual or use of sigils that would work with each of those days. It gives you a lot of what feels like complex information in a very short book. Like, I read it on e-reader. It took me an hour to read this book. It wasn't very long, so I can't imagine that it's more than 100 pages. I think it's probably a lot less than that. At the end, it brings up something that I really love and that I've learned to do through a different tradition that is not witchcraft, but it speaks to developing a relationship in which you are in devotion to a deity and in a relationship where the offerings of thanksgiving, the offerings of love, the offerings of gratitude that you would give to a deity when you create an intimate relationship with them. So it speaks to that as well, which I love. I think that when we develop a relationship with an energetic or an archetype or a deity, however you see that, it can be a really enriching experience, one that keeps with you throughout the course of your life, so that almost that deity becomes a patron saint or a patron deity for you. I really recommend this book just to give you a taste of what that might look like. It also is very helpful because it gives you a very real practical outline as to how to work with that. I think that you can only actually get this book on Kindle, and I got it for $2.99. It's affordable. I'll link to that below. It's not on Kindle Unlimited, unfortunately, but $2.99 for a Kindle book is pretty good. I recommend it. I give this book a 4 just because it's a really great doorway into something that can be incredibly powerful and incredibly enriching in many, many ways. We will be talking about Hecate a lot in the future, probably beginning in the fall, because I got a lot scheduled for us to do. So please subscribe. Please ring the bell down below. And I want to hear about what your work has been like with different deities. Do you have a patron deity? Do you not work with deities at all? It'd be interesting to know what all is going on with all of you. And I will talk to you again next week. Take care. Have a wonderful day.